Hi, Dr. P here to talk about fake war games and hybrid or semi-war games. And to contrast, we're going to have to start out with what I'm going to call real war games because I haven't thought of a better title. A real war game requires a player to pursue warfare to succeed. You might think that all war games do that, but in fact that's not true at all. A real war game also requires a command style of play far more than a corporate manager style of play. Action rather than management, dynamic rather than incremental. Two-player war games are almost always real war games, but you can have multiplayer games, that is for more than two sides, that are real war games as well. For example, Diplomacy, Britannia, and many, many others. Hybrids or semi-war games pose a dilemma for players. Each player benefits more from peaceful activity than from warfare, but there's opportunities for players to pursue warfare when they see others being more successful. And these are games for more than two players. The players can employ either a corporate management style or a command style. That depends partly on the game, of course. These kinds of games are high reactivity games in a way that, say, Euro-style games or fake war games generally are not. Another name for them could be peace games, because they let players succeed best by being peaceful. And I've seen this in my own hybrid war games. Germania, which will probably be published in 2018, I have seen people play the game and not attack each other with their own forces at all. Now, there are invaders, and you can control the invaders temporarily and attack players that way. I've also seen the same game played with the same rules and the players slaughter each other wholesale for the entire game and have a good time doing it. It's a game that allows players to go either way. A hybrid game has to allow players to use warfare to interfere, however, or else it's just another Euro-style game in effect. Unlike low reactivity games that don't provide the warfare option, hybrids have to allow strong player interaction so that warfare is possible, so that you can attack somebody, so that you can destroy another player's assets or take another player's assets. Now, fake war games appear to be about warfare, but warfare is rarely, if ever, a road to success. In other words, you win by pursuing primarily non-military objectives. Often these games are resource management or economic games. And resource management economic games are management games par excellence. The player who manages resources best, creating the best economy, is going to have the best military, either because it's a lot larger than anybody else's or a lot more technological, a lot better unit per unit. So the warfare part becomes a formality. If you've got the bigger army or the better army, you're going to win. Often in these games, a corporate management style is preferred to command. And often these are low reactivity games. That is, you can often ignore what the other players are doing. You don't have to react immediately. And these games are usually for more than two players. And examples, Twilight Imperium and Eclipse, look like they're war games, but in practice they're not. And Twilight Imperium is also a very long game. Eclipse is pretty long. I've seen it last 5 or 6 hours. Now think about this. If it isn't a high reactivity game, can it be a war game? Even if it's a game with movement or placement and spatial relationships, which is pretty much required for war games, it can still be a low reactivity game. It can still be primarily a resource management or economic. I don't think it can be a war game if it's not high reactivity, regardless of what gloss or atmosphere you put on it. It's just not a war game anymore. Thanks for listening.